Gross national happiness, a cliché or a realistic sustainability indicator? Hi and welcome to Week 9. I'm Jen, and in this tutorial presentation I'll present an overview and critique of G&H for the assessment of sustainability and ecosystem health. The idea was coined by the fourth king of Bhutan in 1972, when he declared that G&H is more important than GNP. He was essentially verbalising something that was already part of Bhutanese culture through the country's Buddhist spiritual values. It has been a guiding philosophy of Bhutan's development ever since, in its desire to modernise sustainably, what they termed the middle path. It is important to note that the definition of happiness in G&H is not our Western hedonistic understanding of happiness, a fleeting, pleasurable, feel-good mood, but rather the feeling that comes from living in harmony with nature and serving others. It is being happy with what you have, rather than seeking happiness from what you lack. G&H therefore means development with values. So why use happiness as a measure of sustainability? Well, for health reasons, happy people live longer and are less of a drain on health services. For enterprise reasons, happy people achieve more. For citizenship reasons, happy people are more generous. And for ecological reasons, happy people are more likely to conserve rather than consume. A common misconception of Bhutan is that because it measures its progress via G&H rather than GNP, everyone must be happy. As the Prime Minister of Bhutan clarified in his address to the UN, Bhutan is not a country that has attained G&H. Like most developing nations, it is struggling with the challenge of fulfilling the basic needs of its people. Happiness is rather a goal the country strives for. The G&H Index is structured around 9 domains: standard of living, health, education, ecological diversity, time use, psychological well-being, community vitality, cultural diversity, and good governance. These are equally weighted and considered equally valid for happiness. The 9 domains were inspired by the Canadian General Progress Indicator, but here they are broken down further. Each domain has 2 to 4 indicators, making a total of 33 indicators across a diverse range of conditions considered important for happiness. G&H is measured via periodic representative surveys of the population. The first pilot was conducted in 2006, followed by national surveys in 2008 and 2010, and based on this, the index was developed. The surveys contain 72 questions that measure the extent to which people achieve sufficiency in each of the 33 indicators. As an example, the questions pertaining to the wildlife indicator asks respondents about the presence or absence of crop damage by wild animals and the severity of damage. This highlights whether respondents consider wildlife to be a constraint to farming. The indicators were chosen such that they would reflect the normative values of G&H articulated in official documents and in Bhutanese culture and traditions, be statistically robust, accurately reflect how happiness is increasing or evolving in different regions over time, be relevant for public action, be understandable by ordinary citizens. This slide demonstrates how results are categorised. The G&H Index results for 2010 show that 40% of people in Bhutan have achieved sufficiency in 66% or more of the weighted indicators, meaning that 60% of people are overall still unhappy or only narrowly happy. At a government level, this data is analysed to determine where unhappiness is arising from and for whom. For example, for people in rural Bhutan, it tends to be those who attain less in education, living standards, and balanced use of time. For those in urban Bhutan, it tends to be those who are insufficient in community vitality, culture, and psychological well-being. From this analysis, a policy screening tool was developed. All new government policies and programs have to be screened by the G&H Commission before they are enacted. Any proposal that fails is returned to the relevant agency for amendment. One of the strengths of the G&H Index is that Bhutan has learnt from the mistakes of Western capitalist development and consciously chosen a different path, which allows the pursuit of development without compromising values. In fact, G&H is considered responsible for the equitable distribution of development to date, albeit still at a low level. In the choice of indicators, there has been a genuine effort to ensure salience, credibility and legitimacy. The indicators cover a rich array of data, measuring both qualitative and quantitative information. On the other hand, G&H has been questioned as to whether it measures the right things in the right way at the right time, and if too much meaning is being attributed to the results. Others have been critical that the relative importance of different factors is subjective. For example, G&H gives equal weighting to standard of living and work-life balance, but it can be argued that poverty reduces well-being by more than the need to juggle work-life balance. G&H has also been criticised for being based on people's perception of their own well-being rather than objective indicators. For example, self-reported health status as opposed to life expectancy and infant mortality statistics. But then again, such statistics measure length of life but not quality of life. Further, the pursuit of some G&H domains have had negative human rights consequences, such as the preservation of Bhutanese Buddhist culture, leading to oppression and expulsion of Hindu Nepalis. In the implementation of policies and programs required to improve happiness, economic input can't be ignored. For example, roads to provide remote communities with access to healthcare facilities, which are currently all funded by India. Finally, Bhutan has been criticised for touting G&H to the rest of the world before it has been proven at home. Some say it is an elitist concept discussed in academia and high levels of government with little evidence of improvement as yet for the people in the villages. Despite these criticisms, G&H has been attracting increasing attention from outside of Bhutan in recent years. In 2011, the UN General Assembly passed a resolution which called for a new holistic approach to development. In 2012, Bhutan was asked to develop the G&H philosophy further and prepare a submission to the UN's post-2015 development agenda. Bhutan's report, entitled Happiness Towards a New Development Paradigm, was completed and submitted to the UN General Assembly in December last year. I recommend having a read of this report if you have the time. The creators of the G&H Index acknowledge that it is still relatively early days. It's an experiential work in progress, and the tool will be adapted over time. I hope this has sparked your interest and given you some food for thought on Bhutan's Gross National Happiness Index. I look forward to delving into it more deeply in our discussions online.